Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie. Today we'll be doing a reading vlog for a new release. I'm sure you've read it on the title, but I believe it just came in the mail with a couple other books. So let's do a little mini book haul.
Mom? Little chickies. Excuse me.
Okay, I can't do this on camera, I'm sorry. I'm more scared I'm gonna cut the book. Okay, so first I have this, it is tiny. I didn't realize how small it was. It is a horror novel. It's called And Then I Woke Up by, I can't read backwards, Malcolm Devlin. Let's read the first sentence. Whenever I tell people what happened, I tell them it was a love story. Interesting. Then we have Insomnia by Sarah Pinborough. Pinborough. Let me read the first sentence of this book. The other car comes out of nowhere. Promising. And then the book we're here today about, it says An Arrow to the Moon by Emily X.R. Pan. I believe this is YA fantasy romance. Okay, let me read the description. Hunter Yi has perfect aim with a bow and arrow, but all else in his life veers wrong. He's sick of being haunted by his family's past mistakes. The only things keeping him from running away are his little brother, a supernatural wind, and the bewitching girl at his new high school. Luna Chang, I'm guessing that's the girl, dreads the future. Graduation looms ahead and her parents' expectations are stifling. When she begins to break the rules, she finds her life upended by the strange new boy in her class, the arrival of unearthly fireflies, and an ominous crack spreading across the town of Fairbridge. As Hunter and Luna navigate their family's enmity and secrets, everything around them begins to fall apart. All they can depend on is their love. But okay, that was stupid. But time is running out and fate will have its way. It's a story about family love and the magic and mystery of the moon that connects us all. Did I hear that this was Chinese mythology retelling? Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. This author wrote The Astonishing Color of After. I definitely recognize this cover. So this is my first time reading them, but I've heard great things about that book and I'm really excited to get into it. Also, I'm sorry, listen to this dedication. In the process of writing this, I almost thought I would never find my way out of the woods, but I did, and so this book is for me. I'm sorry, that's the best written dedication I've ever read. All right, I'll come back once I've read some of this. Just kidding, I forgot to read the first sentence. Okay, there's a little preface. It's Once Upon a Time. Also, I just looked on Goodreads. It says it's Romeo and Juliet meets Chinese mythology. Once upon a time, there was a girl who lived on the moon as its guardian. Sounds like Daughter of the Moon Goddess, which I still have not read. And then the actual start of the book, 1974, Ziyang Village. I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry. The air smelled of overturned earth and impossible things. Ooh, I think I'm gonna like this. Okay, I'm only on page 13, and so far it's giving really strong Romeo and Juliet vibes. First of all, it opens up. It's set in the 90s. It says, in Fairbridge, where we lay our scene, instead of Fair Verona. Then our main girl Luna is at a party and she's like playing with a fish tank, which gives Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet. We'll see what this means for the tragedy of their ending. I just recently read, oh, what was it? These Violent Delights, this book. And that's also a Romeo and Juliet retelling. I mean, her name is literally Juliet. I think I got a little less than halfway through it before I didn't DNF it. I just set it aside, but I was not prepared for this mystery monster to come into play, and I just wasn't vibing with it at the time. So I'm glad I put it down before it could possibly be ruined, because I'm ready for Romeo and Juliet right now. I'm ready. Hey guys, it's a couple days later, and to be perfectly honest, I'm only on page 73. I'm having a hard time reading about just YA in general, because so many YA stories have to deal with really controlling or literally evil parents. And I am just so frustrated and sad for the main characters in those situations that it's not fun to read about. Even though this is a fun story,
And it's like, it makes me more empathetic towards the main character and it adds to the story, but maybe because of my childhood, I just don't want to read about that. So I am struggling a little bit. However, other than that, I'm liking every other part of this. So I am going to march on, but I just wanted to put that out there. I feel like it's always in a Romeo and Juliet story too. Like, that is part of the plot. Also, it's so funny that they're making so many references of iterations of Romeo and Juliet, like the Baz Luhrmann movie. However, they are also talking about West Side Story's musical soundtrack, which is based on Romeo and Juliet. So they're really going all out on this. I also did a quick Google search, which is, you know, the least amount of research I could have done on some of the Chinese mythology. I just put in some keywords like Chinese mythology rabbits, because our boy main character, Hunter Lee, his little brother's name is Cody. And I feel like he's a larger part of the mythology that they might be talking about. There isn't anything that's said like this is from this story. I think it's just from a handful of mythologies. However, most of them have to do with the moon that I was researching. I wish I just had a book of Chinese mythology that I could read, or like even like a short children's version of it, because I think that would enrich my experience of this book. But it is intriguing, so I think that's making this book extra good as well. Okay, I literally just laughed out loud at something that was totally unintentional. So Hunter is supposed to be this bad kid who got kicked out of his other school. He's already said, I'm not even a quarter of the way through this. He's already said that he did it intentionally. We're not sure of why. However, Luna is now gossiping with this classmate, and the classmate is trying to tell her how much of a bad boy he is. And apparently he got suspended because he set off a fire alarm and he knocked all the bleachers down before anyone was sitting on them. And her reaction was, wow. And then the other girl says, that dude's got an intense reputation. I lost it, because if that's a bad boy, I don't know. That's pretty funny. And then Luna says, my parents were right. Hunter was a person that she should stay away from. Pulling fire alarms. Jail time. Okay, now I'm a little concerned because Luna has all these fireflies that are following her, and they're not acting like normal fireflies, so she's doing research on fireflies to figure out what's going on. But she said Luna began to read about praying mantises and spiders, about the cannibalistic rituals they had, ... until she realized she was daydreaming about Hunter Lee. I feel like talking about praying mantises and spiders and their cannibalistic things, that's usually like the female biting off the head of their mate. And then in the same sentence with an ellipses, she starts talking about Hunter Lee. Is this a horror book that I didn't realize? Okay guys, I'm officially halfway through on page 200 and I'm really enjoying this. I feel like this is, you know how I was complaining about parents being too evil in YA books. I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit more nuanced, which makes me happy because then it's a better reading experience on multiple levels. First of all, I have reasoning for things that people are doing, but also you're empathetic to many more characters than just the main character. I like the love story so far because there's obviously insta love in every Romeo and Juliet retelling. But when there's insta-love in a sort of magical situation, I feel like it makes so much more sense because there's something else calling these two people together than just like horniness. It really is reminding me for some reason of Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater. The plot has nothing to do with that book. It's not similar in any way that makes sense, except for the vibes are kind of similar. But I am very intrigued in the mystery of Hunter's family, of what is going on. And I really do enjoy how it's written. I'm getting the idea that some snippets of actual Chinese mythology is being told here, so I'm literally being told without being very blatantly obvious which mythologies are important to this story and are being paralleled here. It is also giving me a little bit of Raven Boys because there's a forest and there's some random shit happening that's just very mystical and very, I can't even explain it. I am definitely enjoying it and I'm excited to read more. Hey guys, it's the next day and I have just about 75 pages left. I really wanted to stay up and read it, but I took like a double dose of melatonin last night, so there is no way. I'm still very much enjoying this and I can't wait to see what's in store for this last little bit. Also, sorry I'm being quiet. Okay, I just finished this and I really don't know what to think. I'm like trying to process it with you right now. Honestly, I don't feel like this book did anything bad. I think it was a solid read. I feel like I will reread it again, and it was somehow comfy. It was like which is weird because the whole parenting thing in the beginning was really stressing me out. I think I'm gonna give this 4 stars, and the only reason I wouldn't give it 5 stars, because although nothing really spoke out at me, like, I feel like this is very well written. However, there were a couple things, no, because that might have made it better. I'm thinking that this is very light fantasy. Like, it's not even fantasy, it's folktale, it's mythology. It really did feel set in the real world, and then magical things were just kind of happening a little bit. And I feel like I enjoy those stories a lot because it's more accessible as someone who's not that used to fantasy. And so I was going to say that maybe a flaw would be focusing too much on the human drama. However, that's what the story was. Like, it was a part of the main character's story. So maybe 4.5. There's just something, there's not like a 5-star spark for me at this point. I feel like maybe if I reread it, I really, really enjoyed this. If you like light fantasy, if you like mythology, I feel like this also had a little, even though it wasn't a weird book, and like obviously weird things are gonna happen about a mystical story, I feel like it was a little like special weird. It's funny because I was just looking at the Goodreads reviews to trying to get a feel of how everyone else was feeling. And a lot of people were giving this 4 or 5 stars, but I did see a couple 2 stars, and people were saying that it was really easy to get into in the beginning and then they lost interest, which is the exact opposite for me. I had a little bit of a hard time attaching at the very beginning, mostly because I was in a slump. But as soon as I continued, it was practically in one sitting that I read this. My overall thoughts, I am gonna give this a 4.5, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was light, but also dramatic. I thought it captured teen angst pretty well. And I thought there was nuance. Like, there are so many stories where the parents are unrelenting and just rude and evil for no reason, and I did sort of see reasoning behind all of the adults and their motives. I mean, I still didn't like a lot of them, but I still kind of understood them, and I like when a story can do that. Like I said earlier in the vlog, I don't know, some people probably fast forward to the final thoughts, but I really love that their insta love was kind of made sense through the mythology, and I felt like this story had great writing. First of all, the imagery and the glowing, the fireflies, it all just well done, Emily X. Sarpan. I want to read her other books, especially The Astonishing Color of After, because I've heard amazing things about that. Plus, I'm sorry, this is one of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen. Some books that this reminded me of, I did mention Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater, and I didn't even think about it, but The Raven Boys I mentioned as well, which is also by Maggie Stiefvater. For some reason, it was giving me Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. I think it's because so many of the early conversations and interactions between the 2 main characters happened on a bus. It was giving strong Romeo and Juliet vibes in the beginning, but I feel like it kind of created its own thing throughout the rest of it. But obviously, it did stick to that type of forbidden love story. So if any of that sounds appealing, I would go ahead and recommend this book. However, I feel like if you enjoy really high fantasy, don't go into this expecting anything like that. This is very subtle, not very subtle, but it felt so chill to me. I feel like I'm gonna be thinking about this book a lot, and I think the imagery and the writing helped with that, because there are so many things that I will never look at the same. First of all, the moon, fireflies, a creepy shed in the woods. If you know, you know. All right, I think I'm gonna stop babbling now, and I will see you guys in the next video.